And we are live. How's it going, all you amazing Mets fans? It's your guy Wardy here, and we're back at it with our third form of content tonight, and the most important one yet, as the Mets take down the San Francisco Giants in Game 1 of that 3-game set there in San Fran by a whopping final score of 8-1. Francisco Lindor looks like he's got his swagger back with his 20th bomb of the year that we saw. WardyNYM, more like Brandon Himmo, going opposite field to bring in some runs. Clay Holmes giving us his most deep outing yet pitching-wise, which you love to see. And when I say pitching, I mean on the pitches that he actually threw everybody. Rico Garcia, my dog. I'm so happy to see this man back in the bullpen. You all doubted me for saying, Wardy, why do you like Rico Garcia? He's another bum. Listen, I understand I like a lot of the moves that Stearns makes, but Garcia, going back to when the Mets signed him initially this past offseason, there was a lot to like about him and his potential play as a bullpen option. I stay this going back to spring trading, so this feels fantastic as he had himself another fantastic outing for this New York Metropolitan bullpen, everybody. Fantastic base running by the Mets yet again. Can we please all bow down to Mr. Antoine Richardson, Mets first base coach, because this man has been an absolute dog in helping the Mets make sure that they steal second base as beautifully as they have. And the best part, everybody, is that Richardson is a former San Francisco Giants coach, so you could clearly tell that he took advantage of the notes that he had on Logan Webb on how to get the best against him base running wise, and the Mets hitting wise did a fantastic job against Webb in this one as well. Mind you, the Mets entered this ball game 22-28 on the season on the road. This is a vital start to a huge West Coast trip between the San Francisco Giants and the San Diego Padres, two of which both have the common goal of trying to secure postseason play. So these teams are hungry, they're looking to have big matchups, and the Mets took Game 1 comfortably in this one, everybody. So folks, hit that like and subscribe button on your way in. I want to see the hype. How are we feeling here on this fine late night edition of our WardyNYM post-game show presented by our amazing sponsors at Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. BetUS has you covered with all of your sports betting needs, and SeatGeek. Utilize our promo code WARDY10 for 10% off your next ticket purchase, and thank you guys kindly for doing exactly that. Link down below should you guys have interest. But I want to get a roll call going of everyone jumping in live on a replay. Where are we coming from, everybody? Where are we at, folks? Because we're going to get into not only what we like so much tonight about Clay Holmes, what was a rock-solid 5-inning outing, and I'm going to share my, not prediction, but rather my score grade, how I would grade Clay Holmes' final line once we get on to breaking down all the good that we got from him today. Brazo, Garcia, and Mr. Castillo back in the bullpen. Things you love to see there, all productive, all at the right time. Heading-wise, the Mets are getting quality hitting. Another fantastic game that we saw there, not only for Nimmo, Lindor, Soto had himself some nice hits that we saw later on this ball game. Brett the Hitman, Alvey, who smoked a baseball. Smoking baseballs was the commonality in today's outing too, folks. Let's not forget that. The Mets had a lot of big hits that we saw there velocity-wise. They were smoking the baseball, tearing the cover off the baseball there of Mr. Logan Webb. And folks, now what are we going to have tomorrow? Mr. Gregory Soto add into this Mets bullpen. So a lot of things to be excited about in this one, everybody. I want to see the hype. How are we feeling, everybody? We got Peter, we got Kevin, how we doing? We got No Name, we got TTV, we got Rebecca, great member, we got John Danzo, how we doing? We got Andrew, how we doing? G Money, how are you? Ryan, great member in the chat. Brooklyn, how are you? We got Kevin Flores, we got Truman Quinn going up here. We got Nico, how are you? Thank you so much. We got Explosive, we got Jordy, we got Nikki, how are you? Going up here. We got Webb's Love, Jojo, great member. We got let's see, Zach Flagerton in the chat. D Savage, how are you? Kevin M, hope you are doing fantastic, my man. Going up the list here even more. We got Andres in the chat. We got SR, great member. We got Killa in the chat. We got Loud and Clear in here. We got Ryan, great member. We got Nico, how are you? We got Webb's Love, if I didn't say him already. We got Sal, how are you, my man? Going up here even more. Webb's Love with the $5 holla. Thank you so much, my friend Wardy. I'm legitimately watching you from the middle of the ocean on a Royal Caribbean family cruise. That's so sick. I love when you guys tell me that you're in the most random spots watching your Wardy content. Love to see that, Webb's Love. Now go back to enjoying your damn cruise and not listening to this schmuck yap. All jokes aside, though, thank you so much for the donation and hoping for Suarez and Alcantara. Alcantara is definitely more likely than Suarez between the two, but I wish you the best, and I hope you're having an absolute blast on your cruise, my man. Be safe, and thank you so much for chiming in from wherever you're at, brother. That's awesome. What's up, Blanco? Happy to have you in the chat, my guy. We got LFGM in the chat as well. Love to see all you guys chiming in, folks. And now, guys, what do we got to do after every big victory? Throughout the course of the 162, everybody, we got to let it rip as we always do with the one, the only, the official Game 1 victory in San Fran post-game jingle, baby. Let's do this. Let's go. Shout out to my guys Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM Metropolitan post-game jingle. Love it or hate it, it is here to stay with our Courtney dance, as we always do. And when we hop back into this one, look at all the hype in the chat. You guys are feeling nice here late on the East Coast. 1:10 a.m. Eastern, that's nothing for you guys. I know a lot of you guys are chiming in from the West Coast as well, or wherever you're at. Thank you guys so much for spending some of your day, night, evening with your guy Wardy here, as we have ourselves a Metropolitan victory to get into. What a fantastic day in Mets land it's been as well. Dan Dodito in the chat's feeling great. You love to see it. Lordy's hyped up. Scott Sandler's in here feeling electric right now. To all my people that watch us on replay, please let me know, one, how good are you feeling? The Mets are on now a nice little 5-game heater, including a nice victory on the road. As I mentioned, the Mets have had their fair share of struggles on the road that we have seen there throughout the course of the season, and for them to do this in Game 1 against Logan Webb, I'm not gonna lie, I feel pretty damn good right now. Like, that's exactly what you could hope for. I mean, seriously, out of all the possibilities and outcomes in Game 1 in San Fran, where we know things can go awry in San Fran from recent years, to take Game 1 against arguably their best pitcher, I mean, you are certainly going to take that to the bank every single day of the week. So not only are we impressed by the Mets attacking Logan Webb with not only their great hit-first approach, but their superior base running that we saw, but even when you just looked at the Mets' approach throughout the entirety of this ballgame, there was a comfortability level, which was really nice to see, because I've seen this Mets team press more often than not when they've been on the road this year, and it has been their demise certainly to a degree. And you have to wonder, what about their approach on the road has been so different from at home? And you know, the longest belief has been the Mets have been selling out Citi Field basically every single game throughout the course of the season, from April all the way now here in June. I mean, it was a 41,000 plus crowd per game in that series against the Angels when it was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday game. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So I understand that aspect of not necessarily having all the fans on your side when you're on the road, and the Mets are loving those Citi Field fans, rightfully so, but they got to bring their own mojo on the road, and they did a fantastic job in that regard, leading them to their Game 1 victory in this one. NYM Mets with the $2 haul. Thank you so much. Love you, Wardy. LGM, sweep those Giants. You said it, baby, but first let's get that series dub tomorrow. What's going to be a huge Game 2 set between the Battle of the Southpaws. The only difference is that one is known as Mr. Tight Pants and Robbie Ray. If you know, you know, especially during his time in Toronto. That was balls have in common, other than the fact that they're big and they throw from the left side, it's also that they both have sub-3 ERAs. So it's going to be a head-to-head matchup pitching-wise. Very well could be a pitching duel tomorrow between the veteran Robbie Ray and the youngster, in comparison at least, and Mr. David Peterson. But I don't want to waste any more time. John Cape is in the chat. How we doing, baby? Great member. Dave Kaplitz, my friend, great member. Happy to have you in here as well, everybody. I want to see, guys, who is your star of tonight's game between all the offensive rogues that they got, the pitching doing the job. This was as balanced of a victory that you could have ever asked from the Mets here to kickstart a series out west. Hit that like and subscribe on your way, and everybody help us get to 250 plus likes at some point to our live viewers and our reoccurring viewers that watch us after the fact. It really does mean a lot, folks. Let's get into this one and let's break down what was so good about what we saw from the Metsies taking Game 1 here against the San Francisco Giants. Again, thank you guys so much for spending some of your evening with me. Let's hear did the mic go out? It may have went out for a second, but we should be all right. I'm still in the active process of figuring that out, but thank you so much for your concern. SR, how we doing? Rico deserves the love. Oh, Rico deserves a lot of love. And who's been gassing up Rico Garcia since the start? I'm not saying it's been me, but it's kind of been me. As we continue on here, folks, one final thing to share, in case I didn't do it already, is as follows, everybody. Look at that. That is the wild card standings. I can't seem to find the New York Mets in the wild card standings. Oh, yeah, that's right, because we're back at first first place in the NL East, baby. Hype me up. Another day, another dollar, another day where the Mets are in first place out of the NL East. Now, I understand that this could be a seesaw that happens throughout the course of the second half. No worries whatsoever. I am just happy to see my Metsies back on the right side of this column and out there in the top left. You got the Cubs there at wild card number 1 at 60-43. What we see in the Phillies at 59-44 and the Padres at 55-49, folks. That is your 1, 2, 3 for the current wildcard status out of the National League. Now, as we get into this, how did this ball game start for the Mets against Logan Webb? They went batting practice, legit batting practice. It began there with WardyNYM on leadoff, and Nimmo goes hunting right away, and he gets himself a gorgeous changeup down a way that he pokes opposite field, the best way they knows how, this time for his 19th double of the season. Nimmo putting the Mets in scoring position early there for Francisco Lindor, who snapped out of his 0-for-31 skid not all that long ago, and has got on it here since then. Lindor takes the first pitch that he sinks, he swings, and he in fact does not miss. After hitting that sinker, you got runners at the corners right away for the Mets, and as soon as I saw that, I'm like, all right, we're cooking here. Let's get something going. Let's at least drive in one guy with runners in scoring position, and then it even gets better because Lindor would promptly steal his 17th bag of the year there shortly after everybody. So you got runners at second and at third. All Juan Soto needs to do is ground out, fly out something, and the Mets are going to have the early 1-0 lead. And what does Juan do? He does exactly that. Soto pokes one there for a ground out and puts the Mets up 1-0. Then Alonso has himself a sac fly opposite field, everybody. And it's quickly 2-0 New York Metropolitans. We would see McNeil fly up, but not before the Mets would take an early 2-0 lead. Heliot Ramos, who has had the power, has certainly been entertaining for the Giants at times this year, leads off the bottom of the first off of Clay Holmes with a single. Rafael Devers, who's going to be a pain in the Mets, you know what, for a number of years now as a San Francisco Giant, rips his 26th double this season to have runners at second and third, just like what we saw Logan Webb sacrifice a half inning ago. Wooly Adames with the ground out, and that makes it a one-run ball game. Matty Chapman then gets on with a walk, folks, so you got 2 on, less than 2 out for Mike Yastrzemski, but thankfully Yaz flies out, and then Mr. Wilmer Flores, we love Wilmer, but we're not loving Wilmer tonight. We want to beat up on Wilmer, as a matter of fact, and thankfully he would ground out, so Clay Holmes works out of his own mess, but not before it becomes a 1-run deficit only for San Francisco through 1. In the top of the second, everybody, we would see Beatty called out on strikes. Alvarez's first at-bat wasn't as strong as his upcoming thereafter, as he would strike out swinging. Then with 2 away, Roddy Mauricio had himself a nice single, and then Tyrone Taylor with the line out, everybody, and that makes it what it is, 2-1 still Mets lead. One key thing that we have to make note of, however, and I don't want to forget this, is that the reason as to why it became 2-1 had a lot to do with Roddy Mauricio bobbing a ball there at first base. If he did not bobble it the way that he did, that would have been the force out at home, and Clay Holmes would have potentially gotten out of his own mess unscathed there that half inning ago. So Roddy Mauricio, who again had that blunder at third base initially, wasn't called an error, but it was a bobble on his end for what was a playable throw there at home. He instead makes the force out there that we would see at first base. Run comes in, and then we see Ronnie try to make up for it that we would see offensively a half inning later, but defensively he would have another blunder, but thankfully it wouldn't bite the Mets in the you-know-what, the way that this one unfortunately kind of did initially at least. So after Mauricio rips himself the 2-out single, nothing else transpires, and the Mets get through that, folks, and we are done through in the top of the second. As we get to the bottom of the second, it's a 1-2-3, the first of its kind for Clay Holmes in this outing, everybody, as Jung-Hoo Lee grounds out, Casey Schmidt grounds out, and Mr. Patrick Bailey strikes out for a 1-2-3. As we get to the third inning, after a flyout by Brandon Nimmo, what does Francisco Lindor do? He gets all of that one. That is what Mr. Smile does, everybody. Lindor rips and blasts a 4-seam inside. Sayonara, see ya. Imagine pitching inside of Lindor when you know he's going to turn on one. Let's make it roughly 380 feet, 104 off the bat, greeting Logan Webb brutally, and just shy there of falling in the bay to the right side is Francisco Lindor and his 20th home run this season. That puts the Mets up with a nice little insurance piece at the time, 3-1 here early against the Giants. Logan Webb doesn't have it, but the Mets most certainly do, as Juan Soto then rips his 16th double of the season. Kind of crazy that Soto only has 16 doubles. Hopefully he really starts to pick it up there with the extra base hits going forward in the second half this season, everybody. But after Soto puts himself in scoring position, the Mets don't do anything else for the inning. But again, they have that nice insurance now, up by 2, as we then get to the bottom of the third. In the bottom of the third inning, we would see Heliot Ramos for the second time today lead off the inning with a single. Then we see Rafi Devers Down to the final out, everybody. I realize the audio skipped there. I apologize. Willy Adames there with his 17th double season. Yes, we live in a world where somehow, some way, Willy Adames, who's been on a contract that hasn't been aging all that well. At least it doesn't look like it's going to age all that well there for the Giants. Nothing personal against Willy, even though we're Team Jesse Winker here. If you know, you know. Adames having one more double than Juan Soto this season. Kind of crazy that we're living in these times. But at least Soto has more home runs than him, I believe, right? I'm almost certain that's the case. Then we would see, folks, on the next play, Matt Chapman, after review, after its challenge, he's out there at first base. But mind you, Ronnie Mauricio almost had a complete botch job of a lopsided throw. And if it wasn't for Alonso's fantastic extension and reach to get the tag on the helmet of Chapman, that would have been a big blunder there for the Mets that we saw in that inning. Thankfully, that did not happen. It would be challenged, and after review, it would go in the Mets' favor, and they get out of that inning unscathed for Clay Holmes. John Cape with a $5 holla. Thank you so much, my man. John says, I'll be at the Wednesday game in San Diego, driving down from Mariana Del Rey. Oh, that is awesome, John. I'm very envious. Love San Diego. Hope you have a blast at Petco there. Just bought 2 tickets with Wardy Co. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that as well. Thank you guys all so much who have utilized our promo code Wardy10 there. That's linked down below in the description, guys. That way you can save, get 10% off your next ticket purchase for Mets tickets, concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, you name it. SeatGeek has you covered. John, thank you so much for that. Have a blast at Petco. Hopefully the Mets can churn out a big victory while you're there. Dave Kaplitz with a $5 donation states the following. A's Nick Kurtz, I know, became the first rookie in MLB history with 4 home runs in one game, or at least since 1926. Kind of a big deal. Literally 100 years since a rookie or anyone has done something similar. Congratulations to Nick Kurtz and the entire A's organization, guys. Listen, a lot of things I despise about the A's, but one thing that they do well every year, obviously, is fantastic player development. Between himself, what you have in Wilson, what you also have in Soderstrom, what you have there in Butler and Shea Langeliers. There's probably one other that I'm missing as well, like young homegrown talents. Brent Rooker's more the veteran there, even though that he hasn't been a star in the league for that long. The A's have some pieces for sure, and I'm really happy to see the success that those individual players, including now Kurtz, are having. Very, very cool. Kurtz has been having a great year that we've seen for the A's. Again, they churn out talent like it's nothing. Seriously. But getting back into this one, everybody, thank you guys again for those donations. I appreciate that. We get to the top of the fourth, and the top of the fourth, guys, as we're breaking down the latest victory for the Mets here, this time by a final score of 8-1, everybody. Brett the Hitman rips himself a single, and then Alvarez rips himself a single. But what do these hits have in common? The fact that they're smoking the baseball, everybody. Alvarez rips that 112 off the bat after Beatty starts the inning with a 106-mile-per-hour single. Then Ronnie Mauricio gets to first base via a walk, so it's bases loaded, no outs here for Tyrone Taylor. All TT needs to do is put the ball in play, and we're going to find ourselves happy. I also realized I may have just froze for a second, everybody. I apologize for that. But as we continue, Tyrone, we would see ground into a force out, and that would increase the Mets' lead there. They would be up 4-1 at this point, and they would never look back, obviously, as after Tyrone steals his 11th bag of the season, because the Mets are absolute studs with their base running yet again tonight. That's been a commonality for them throughout the past couple weeks now. They've been fantastic. But then we would see everybody, Brandon Nimmo with a fantastic situational hitting. He goes opposite field for the second time today, or center opposite field rather, and he drives in a pair. This time it makes it 6-1 Mets there with a 2-run single with 1 away, and then he also steals now his 12th bag of the year, everybody. You get a stolen bag. 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 The Mets are stealing bags, as easy as it is to say it and to have fun breaking it down, as a matter of fact. And all thanks in part to Antoine Richardson and the great work that he's been doing there at first base for these base runners for sure. After Nimmo steals that bag, Lindor strikes out, Soto strikes out, but not before the Mets now take a 6-1 lead. As we get to the bottom of the fourth inning, it's a 1-2-3 for Clay between Mike, Yastrzemski, Flores, and Gianluigi. Sayonara, see ya out of here. 3 up, 3 down, all via the ground out. In the fifth inning, guys, we would see Tristan Beck come in. That does it for Logan Webb's final line. The Mets get Logan Webb out of here, and not even 5 innings. I mean, I'm taking that to the bank every single day of the week. Webb is nasty when he is right, and thankfully he was nasty in all the wrong ways here for the San Francisco Giants. And for the Mets, they pounced with the opportunities that presented themselves here. Alonso with the lineout, McNeil then with the walk, Brett Beatty then called out and strikes, and then afterwards we would see pass ball allow McNeil to get a second base, and then Alvarez would ground out. but that does it for the inning. In the bottom of the fifth, we see Casey Schmidt get on with a single, Patrick Bailey with a single, and then 1, 2, 3, you're out of here. It's a pop out on Heliot Ramos. It's a strikeout on Rafi Devers, and it's a pop out on Mr. Willie Adames, folks. That does it for Clay Holmes' final line. Clay goes as follows in this one, everybody. He goes a total of 5 innings, 6 hit, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 2 strikeout ball, down to a 3.4 ERA on the season. Dropped ever so slightly from him entering today's game. I think 3.3, a 3.43 or 3.45 in that range. Either way, it dropped a little bit. And also, what is good to note about Clay Holmes is that he had himself a season high tonight there on pitches. Ever in his career, Clay Holmes has never thrown 104 pitches the way that he did just right there. We see with Clay with the Arsenal, 47% of the time was the sinker there that we saw topped out at 96 and sat 94. The cutter that he threw 14% of the time in this one topped out 91 and sat right around 89, 90. The sweeper at 13% of the Arsenal, topped out 83, sat right around 82. The changeup at 11% of the Arsenal, topped out 90, sat right around 88. The slider at 10% of the Arsenal as well that we saw topped out 88, sat right around 86. And the four seam at 5%, topped out 95 and sat right around 93, everybody. So folks, Clay Holmes, even though that, yes, he had to throw a lot of pitches in those 5 innings, he gets a rock solid 7 out of 10 from your guy Wardy. And the reason why we're going 7 out of 10 is because it's been vital to see how Clay Holmes is going to handle this workload, how much he can get up in his pitch count, how fatigued is he going to look, and how is he going to fare by working out of jams. I was really encouraged to see Clay Holmes kind of work out of his own messes today, and knowing that the only run he gave up was in large part because of what Ronnie Mauricio couldn't do, which was make the initial throw there at home in the first inning of this ball game, has me encouraged that while Clay we would like to see get more length, obviously, he did the best he could given the circumstance and while working from obviously dealing with being in jams, a decent amount that we saw throughout this ball game. So I'm going with a rock solid 7 out of 10 for Mr. Clay Holmes. Everybody, if you agree or disagree with that assessment, let me know in the live chat in the comments down below, and let me know your grades on a scale of 1 to 10 there for Clay Holmes and what maybe you liked or didn't like about him today and his outing. We're going to expand more on the Mets bullpen in just a couple seconds, everybody, but let's get on now to breaking down more of this ball game, what was working right for the Mets in this 8-1 victory. As we saw there after that 5th inning in the 6th, we see a 1-2-3 for the Mets bats. Nothing happens from Ronnie to Tyrone and Nimmo. Then in the bottom of 6th, everybody, here comes the defensive changes. Acuna comes in there, and he is going to shift over to second base. We see Beatty go over to third, and Ronnie Mauricio's out for the rest of the ball game there for Acuna, essentially. Barrazo comes in. Barrazo gives up a 1-out single to Mike Yastrzemski. He then gives up a 2-out double to Jung-Hoo Lee, and then he strikes out Casey Schmidt like an absolute bulldog to strand the pair of runners. And what was a grind of an at-bat, a 6-pitch at-bat that goes in Barrazo's favor here. Changeup gets Mr. Schmidt to bite, and he's out of here. The Mets get through there as we get to the top of the 7th. And the top of the 7th, the Mets are facing their former southpaw. Do you guys remember Matt Gage? Because I know I do. The Mets initially had Matt Gage in the organization a year plus ago. LA Dodgers organization. I'm trying to think where the Mets picked him up from. I think it was the Dodgers initially at the time when they did. Gage ended up never really having a taste of the major league level with the Mets, and if he did, he didn't fare well. But the southpaw was given an opportunity to face his former club, and he succeeded in this one as he had a 1-2-3 against Lindor, Soto, and Alonso. In the bottom of the 7th, we saw Rico Garcia come in, and you guys know how much I love Rico Garcia, so let's expand on the brilliance of Rico Garcia, everybody, and it is as follows. It's a 1-2-3 on these Giants batters, including a swinging strikeout there upstairs on Rafael Devers. Hello, Rico. We missed you, baby. Then in the 8th inning, the Mets go down in order again offensively, but in the bottom of the 8th, so do the Giants, thanks to back-to-back strikeouts on Matty Chapman and Mike Yastrzemski from, yes, you guessed it, Rico Garcia, everybody. As we then got to the 9th inning, the Mets had themselves Luis Angel Acuna get on with a hit-by-pitch. He took one right to the shoulder, ate it like a dog. He was okay, thankfully. Lindor then ripped himself a ground rule double that unfortunately took a run away from the Mets. If it wasn't a ground rule double, it would have been 9-1 instead. Runners at second and third there with 2 away, and the Mets would in fact score though because a wild pitch, thankfully, from Mr. Doval makes it 7-1. Then Juan Soto says, I would like to add to the hit parade a little bit, so he does exactly that by poking a single up the middle there. That makes it 8-1 Mets, everybody. And Alonso strikes out, but not before the Mets add even more insurance 2 runs more to have themselves a 7-run lead entering the bottom of the 9th. In the bottom of the 9th, here comes Jose Castillo, mind you, back in this Mets bullpen, getting called back up today. The towering 6'6" lefty. He comes in, he strikes out Wilmer Flores. He gives up a single to Jean Hooley. He strikes out Casey Schmidt, and he strikes out Patrick Bailey. Oh my goodness gracious, Jose Castillo, did we miss you, my friend? He comes in, he strikes out 3 of the 4 batters that he sees. Welcome back to the bullpen, Mr. Castillo, even if it's just for a short stint, and the Mets go on, everybody, to win this one by a final score of 8-1. As we look in this Mets pitching staff outside of Clay Holmes, the bullpen did fantastic work today. They had a total of 7 strikeouts, and those, what was it, 4 innings? Yeah, bullpen gets a rock solid 8.5 out of 10 from your guy Wardy today. If it wasn't for the 3 hits given up, that would have been right up there with a 9+. I loved what the bullpen did today. I can't get over Rico Garcia enough, and Castillo to come in and shut the door the way that he did was even more encouraging too. So again, the guys that you wouldn't think would be impacting this bullpen initially heading into the season, and Mr. Rico Garcia, the small yet mighty right-hander, and the towering lefty there, and Castillo gained the job done for this Metropolitan team. Not only did that look good, folks, but on the hitting end, this is how the ball game ended, mind you, with the following lineup, and it was as follows, everybody. Here we got Mr. WardyNYM with a huge 2-for-5 game with the run score in the double, 265 average, 800 OPS. Lindor 3-for-5 with 3 runs scored and the home run, his 20th of the season, and a double there, 252 average, 761 OPS, but Lindor's starting to pick it up now, baby. Don't get too excited, but at the same time, get excited. Juan Soto there, 2-for-5 that we saw with the double and the pair of RBIs, 255 average, 885 OPS. Pete Alonso 0 in this one, 269 average, 875 OPS. McNeil 0 at DH in this one, batting 5th, 248 average, 798 OPS. Brett the Hitman 1-for-4 with a run scored, 238 average, 719 OPS. Francisco Alvarez 1-for-4 there with 112 mile per hour baseball smoked off the bat that we saw with a run scored, 241 average, 688 OPS. Ronnie Mauricio 1-for-2 with a walk, 224 average, 671 OPS. Luis Angel Acuna with a run scored, 241 average, 582 OPS. And Tyrone Taylor 0-for-4, but with that run scored thanks to the ground down and the RBI, 206 average, 563 OPS. The Mets on the heading side, how do they fare with runners in scoring position? In this one, folks, they batted 300 yet again. We will gladly take that. The Mets are batting anywhere from 280 to plus on the runner in scoring position front. I'm a happy camper as a Mets fan. Beggars can't be choosers for a Mets team that's been so underwhelming there with runners in scoring position throughout the large chunk of the season. But we'll take a 3 for 10 for what is right now against a solid Giants team. They left 5 on base as well. So again, could have been 10 times worse in game 1 in San Francisco, especially after you had the off day. You know, we've seen it at times where the off day has not benefited this Mets team much, right? Where they don't take advantage of the extra rest. If anything, makes them a little sluggish, maybe makes them 2 steps behind. Thankfully, that was not the case for the Mets heading into this game 1 matchup, everybody. And I'm really excited to get into more on the key takeaways from this one, but I just want to reiterate, I do not want to forget the following, everybody. But the fact that the Mets smoked the amount of baseballs that they did against Logan Webb, I thought was impressive. Let's actually break down real quick just some of these exit velocities because they were really impressive to me, and the Mets were, again, all over Logan Webb. I'm going to just show you. Might as well not just yap about it. I might as well give you a nice little visual representation. So let's go ahead, Wardy. Let's not slack here. Let's go and give you guys what you're looking for. All right, guys, as you can all see, these were all hits off of Logan Webb. See that? And here's all the velos. So we're going to get into all of them right here, right now. Francisco Alvarez, 111.7 miles per hour there. Juan Soto with his double, 109. Ronnie Mauricio, 107 on his single. Francisco Lindor, 107 on his single. WardyNYM there, 107 basically on his double. Devers smoked Holmes there, 106. Then Alonso against Webb, 106 on the lineout, mind you. And that had an expected batting average of 740, so really, really robbed was Mr. Pete Alonso there. Brett Beatty against Logan Webb, 106 roughly off the bat on a single. Mauricio, that was off of Tristan Beck, but Lindor off of Webb, 104 as well. Seriously, everyone hit Webb hard today. 101 off the bat on a forced out from Tyrone Taylor. That was the ground out earlier. Let's see if there's anything else notable against Webb. 99 back-to-back ground outs from McNeil to Soto. The Soto grounded actually had a 240 expected batting average. So again, not great, but not horrendous either. Yeah, the Mets absolutely were eating this man up for breakfast today, which is something I'm personally not used to, mainly because of the fact that Logan Webb has dominated the Mets a lot in the past. So to say this was a pleasant surprise, I think is pretty on par with how he felt throughout this ballgame. Not that I doubted the Mets' abilities or, inabilities against Logan Webb, but rather I just knew that Webb has been such a horse and has been such a menace that if the Mets did not fare well tonight, it would not have shocked me in the slightest. Really encouraged to see the Mets get on this 5-game heater the way that they did. It could not come at a more pivotal time. And my standout, my key star of the game on the pitching end, guys, has to be Rico Garcia. Not only did Rico Garcia go 2 shutty for the Mets, but if we expand more on Rico's arsenal just a little bit, everybody, as to what you are exactly getting there. And the veteran right-hander, he had the four-seam fastball that he threw 52% of the time. But this is what's so satisfying about Rico Garcia, right? He doesn't overwhelm you, even though he topped out 97 on the gun today. So that is notable. And he was sitting right around 94.5, 95. But he just has some really, really interesting late rise. He's very deceptive with his fastball. And you can clearly tell how that bothered guys like Rafael Devers in their matchup today. The curveball that he threw 29% of the time, topped out 86, sat 84. The changeup at 14% of the time, topped out 88 and sat right around 87. And the slider at 5%, topped out 86 and sat right around 86 everybody. Oh, he only threw it one time. So there you go. But Rico Garcia now, guys, just to share some context, Rico Garcia was picked up off waivers as he was DFA'd by the Mets a week and a half ago from the Yankees. He gets picked up. He faces the Atlanta Braves, and Rico Garcia in 2 2/3 innings gives up 3 runs for the New York Yankees. As a New York Met now, Rico Garcia has pitched the following: 7.2 innings, 2 hits, no walks, no runs, and 8 strikeouts. But they called me a madman for liking Rico Garcia. Guys, I will accept the apology for him now. It's okay, I promise. Rico Garcia, though, let's see if he becomes a mainstay. Let's see if this is someone that the Mets actually rock with, or if this is just a guy who's having great success right now, and that's that. And there's nothing more else that's going to happen along with it. The Mets are going to DFA him in the near future because of the bullpen moves that they're inevitably going to make. Even if that is, in fact, the case, really, really encouraged to see what not only Rico Garcia has done, but the same thing can be said, obviously, with Mr. Castillo, among others. 2 base runners in 8 innings. That is correct, Zach. Love to see it. Now Rico Suave. Now that you said Suave, it makes me want to, sing Suavemente, because that song just is bopping in my head right now. So thanks for that at 1:36 a.m. Yeah, Rebecca, that's Ron. While that is a player, true. That's the Ron Post game. Yes, Rico is here to stay. Absolutely. I hope so. I hope so. Listen, just when I thought that, he then got DFA'd by the Mets, and that was after pitching squirrels outing. So to each their own. I guess we will see what happens on that front, everybody. But folks, I want to continue on the live show now for at least the next 15 minutes or so to answer whatever comments, questions, or concerns you have for your guy Wardy on the Mets front. But to all of our replay viewers, this is where I will be cutting things off. So please let me know all your biggest takeaways and reactions to tonight's fantastic Game 1 victory against the San Francisco Giants by a final score here of 8-1. What were your key positives? What were your net negatives, if there were any? And how are you feeling about the Mets now on a 5-game heater, looking for the series victory manana there between the Battle of Southpaws and Robbie Ray, the veteran, and the younger one, and David Peterson. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's continue on the live show to all of our live viewers, but everyone watching on replay, this is where we cut things off. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out. All right, folks, we got the Wardy Stare in effect. If you don't know, now you know, baby. We're rocking the Wardy Stare after every single ball game, after every single time that Wardy needs to go ahead and stare into that camera to make sure I have a timestamp so I can cut things out after the fact in YouTube Studio. But all right, guys, let's get into this one. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns for your guy Wardy, make sure you relay. Like I said, I'm not going to be too long way tonight because it's almost 2 a.m. I got an early day tomorrow. We got things that we got to do. We got places to be, but I always want to be here for you guys, which is why we pumped out the content no matter what. Stop looking at me, Bobby. I can't. You're just so gorgeous. It's really hard for me not to. JTB, yep, a 1:37 a.m. stare. There you go. It's Wardy after dark stare is what it is. John says his main takeaway, we are going to win this series. I hope so, my friend. It's definitely a great start in that direction to win this series. And you know what? When I think of the San Francisco Giants, guys, when I think of the San Francisco Giants, I think Mr. Joey Fuego, Joey Lucchesi. If you know, you know. Joey Lucchesi is no longer in the Mets organization. But the funny thing about Joey is that his best outings he's ever had as a Met, basically, have been in San Fran against those Giants. And what team is Joey Lucchesi, Mr. Churv, on now? You guessed it, the San Francisco Giants. So how is Lucchesi performing this year, everybody? Well, he's only pitched in 14 innings at the big league level this year, and that's across 13 games. So he has been utilized as a reliever through and through. And in his limited sample size as a reliever, Lucchesi has been fantastic. And makes sense because he's always profiled best as a reliever. He has a right around 11 strikeouts per 9 to a 1.29 walks per 9, a 1.93 ERA, and a 2 expected ERA. Joey effing Lucchesi could have been our dominant lefty in this bullpen all these years. All we needed was to just keep him in the pen, but we couldn't do it. Why did we waste all these effing years trying to develop a 2-pitch pitcher as a starter? I just don't understand. We had him for a while. Like, I can get it if it's like, okay, we had him for a one and done and that's it. But come on. Like, seriously. In that limited, like, he's nasty. He's nasty. Joey Churvy's good. He's really good. Let me look at his baseball savant right now, because I bet it's going to further grind my gears. Come on. Oh, he's a beast. He's a soft tossing beast is what he is. Ah, the pain, the hurt. No, his numbers are fantastic right now. He's among the league's best relievers in that very, very limited sample size. That K to walk ratio is nasty, right? Oh, damn. You know what? It makes sense too. Lucchesi's probably thriving now that he's back out west because he's a Cali kid. Let's not forget Joey used to be a part of the Padres organization. And wait, is he a Cali kid? Hold on, where's Joey from? Oh, bet I was right. He's from Newark, California. Okay, there you go. So that, I think that further proves it. I think he's blossoming by the fact that he's back out west as well. I think that's benefiting him, but very well utilized, I would say, is what's been the case now and how he's being featured there as solely reliever. It just makes sense. Again, nothing about him profiled well as a starter. All right, I digress. That's Wardy, what would you give for Suarez? That's a good question, Joel. I'm not exactly sure what I would give up for Eugenio Suarez because Buddy can't defend well. Fantastic home run bat, but profiles best as a DH. And for what the Diamondbacks are asking for, because you know it's going to be a bidding war for him, I'm not entirely sure what I would want to give up for him, if I'm being honest with you. I think I would be cool if the Mets gave up a haul, a prospect haul, but of guys from you would give up one top 10 of someone in the back end from 7 through 10 range, and then you give up 2 guys in the prospect pool from the 17 through 30 range. Maybe you have to add a little bit more. Maybe you have to add quantity instead of quality in the case of the prospects to get creative there. I'm not sure if the Diamondbacks would even want, but maybe they would consider Luis Angel Acuna. But would the Mets want to give up an Acuna in a rental position like that? I'm not sure. I know that they would probably be intrigued by a Ronnie Mauricio, but would the Mets want to do it? I'm not exactly sure. Suarez, I just don't foresee happening. So until it happens, or we have more reason to believe it'll happen, I'll kind of leave it at that for now. We DFA'd Adrian Hauser, and he turned into a beast this year. He did. But the context with Adrian Hauser is important because Buddy can't handle the lights to save his life. I mean, holy shit. It's as simple as that. He's on a no stress, no worry White Sox team that's doing jack all this year, and he's dominating and having the best stint of his career. Now, the White Sox are, funny enough, kind of notorious for getting these fantastic pitching performances from key guys every year, even with their lack of analytics. They're just weird, but they make pitching work sometimes. I.e. Mike Soroka as an absurd reliever last year. Eric Fetty in the first half before he got traded to the Cardinals, since he's been DFA'd by the Cardinals over this past couple days. Yeah, it's easy in my opinion. It's much easier to progress and, play great baseball when you have no pressure on your shoulders. And that's wholeheartedly the case in Adrian Hauser. That's why I would want the Mets nothing to do with him. Is Mike Vasil doing well with the White Sox? That's a good question. He was at one point, but I'm not sure if he currently is. Let's see. Mike Vasil of the Chicago White Sox. Oh, shit. I mean, yeah, he's doing very good. 2.53 ERA and 64 innings pitched. Another dog as a reliever. All we need to do is make these guys relievers. Now, the funny thing about Vasil, his metrics are horrendous, but he's in the 89th percentile in fastball run value, and he's in the 85th percentile in off-speed run value, and the 73rd in pitching run value. So his value metrics are good, but he's not striking out guys at all. He's around the league average in game barreled. Right around league average in fastball velo. Just above league average in average exit velocity given up. Interesting. Very interesting. So yeah, Mike Vasil's having success, everybody. Wardy, what do you still want Woodruff next year? I want to be opposed. I want to be opposed to Brandon Woodruff at all. It's their ballpark, Tyler. That does help for sure. For sure. The ballpark doesn't hurt either. These are key factors to bear in mind. Good fit for the pitching lab, Bobby. I agree. I think Fetty is a good fit for the lab, but you just got to make sure that you get him without having to deal with that salary, because Fetty is owed over $7 million this year. The Mets want nothing to do with that. I just don't see why they would. But if you could pick him up and get him for nothing, then yeah, I think the Mets would have an appetite for Eric Fetty. So while Fetty's K-to-walk ratio this year's horrendous, David Stearns liked him a lot going back to the offseason, and not this offseason, but an offseason ago, because he was coming over from the KBO. He made solid adjustments, and he tried to land Eric Fetty, but Fetty decided to go to the White Sox on a more guaranteed starter role, and he thrived with them in the first half, leading to then himself being traded to the Cardinals, where everything kind of went awry from there. You really like Ramon Laureano? It's funny you say. I just don't know what the appetite is for teams like him. You know what I mean? Like, Laureano's having such a good season after being, a fringe fourth outfielder for the Braves last year. Like, he's in the 90th. Okay, now it makes more sense. He's been known for his defense in the past, but his defense is horrendous this year. He has great arm value and strength because he's got a cannon, Mr. Roids over here, but he has zero defensive range whatsoever. He's been horrendous there, and his outs above average. He's doing damn good, though, offensively. Yeah, Ramon's an interesting player. I just don't think he fits the Mets mold much either, though. Like, it doesn't hurt to get another outfielder, but you kind of specifically want an outfielder that can command more center field. And Ramon has played horrendous defense while playing just in right field this year. So I think that throws more of a wrench into the Mets' potential interest in someone like him. But I see the point, though. He's appealing. He's batting .273 with an .844 OPS. He is batting better than Mullins, but Mullins is a better profile for the Mets than the Laureano, you could argue, for what the Mets are looking for right now. Because if we look at Mullins, he's more of that center field fit. And he's in the 79th percentile in outs above average this year. Difference, though, he has a noodle of an arm. So the risk with Cedric Mullins, if you give him center field reps, is you're going to get the early years of Brandon Nimmo with his noodle arm in center. And that is not appealing either. Very good sprint speed, but across the board, a very underwhelming hitter. And his offensive numbers just continue to drop big time. I don't love Mullins. I would like Robert between the two. I think Robert has a lot more high upside, no doubt in my mind. Sandy will fit in nicely. I'm definitely not opposed to Sandy if he can land here. That'd be fantastic. But guys and gals, that's going to do it for our latest post-game show. I need to get some shut-eye. I'm absolutely shot right now. But I would like to thank you all so much for taking some of your night, day, evening, whenever you're watching this, with your guy Wardy for our latest Metropolitan post-game show. Thank you guys again for checking out our Wardy Day tickets that are still available. Less than 10 left now, guys, for you guys to check out should you have interest there. Simply head over to the link that I have pinned in the comments down below, as well as the description down below to our replay viewers especially. And I'll see Wardy Day tickets here. Click that link, see if you guys are interested in taking part, and I hope to see all you Mets fans there. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Mets on a 5-game heater. Let's make it 6.